Hello, everyone. I want to talk about an aspect of parental estrangement which we don't even think about or consider because a lot of times we're just focused on our estranged adult sons and daughters and their role in the whole situation. But I want to talk about another aspect that I just thought about, and it's it's kind of came to fruition after I was done watching this. It's called Eight Signs a Woman is Protected by God from Evil People. Motivational speech by Tony Evans. And Tony Evans is an incredible pastor. I always really enjoyed his messages. And so I never thought about this aspect until I watched that. And then I thought, my gosh, it might be an answer to an unspoken prayer. I don't know any loving parent that wants to be disconnected from their children, whether it's through a passing, a choice, uh, something outside of our control. We just don't. It's not natural for a parent to not want a relationship with their child. So, with the age of divorce and women coming out talking about how, I've spoken about the abuse I suffered at the hands of my husband, my second daughter's biological father, and he never put his hands on me. There was a time he did punch the wall when he got frustrated, but it was mental and emotional. And I know a lot of parents who, moms and dads, who suffer in silence when it comes to putting up with the spouse or not wanting to leave a spouse because they're afraid their children will be abused or harmed. Just Chris Watts, who took the life of his then wife, the unborn child, and their two daughters. So there's a lot of instances where mom or dad will not leave the home and ask for a divorce because they're simply afraid. And so in my case, it was scary. I stayed and remained married for 10 years because I was afraid. But I knew I needed different. I knew I needed to escape, file for divorce, and that was that. And then when your children are around, and let's say your divorce goes okay, but because you have children with that person and they're minors, you still have to interact with your ex when it comes to weddings, birthdays, decisions, grandchildren, etc. And lo and behold, when my daughters disconnected, they were each 19. There was no longer an invisible line or ball and chain attached to me with their dad. And I'm not saying I don't want a relationship with my daughters. But maybe in some cases, God has to remove our children from our lives so that our exes no longer have an attachment to us. I don't even know if this makes sense. I don't know if this is the way it's supposed to go. But when it comes to what we put up with, a lot of times we have to sit in the same room with our ex, same one who berated us, beat us, abused us, threatened us, stole from us. It's a lot of times we put up with them for the sake of our children. And now in thinking about what Tony Robbins said, God removes certain people from our lives, especially that of women who belong to him, his children, his people. And what if your children walking out of your life was meant to happen all along? And God said, no, we're not doing this anymore. I don't want my child, this woman, to be in the presence of someone who is not kind, who means her harm, and who has caused her harm for many years. So I know we put up with a lot. I know this is just a concept I never even thought of before. And it's not like it's not that I wanted to be disconnected from my children because it was one of the hardest situations I've ever dealt with. But what if by removing them was the only way to keep my ex out of my presence? and from having access to me. That's the worst thing when you were married to someone who was unkind and your ex still has access to you and control over you because they pay child support and financially they've contributed in ways that you couldn't afford. I mean, am I pulling at strings? I don't know. Like I said, I never wanted my children gone, but them not being in my life meant my ex-husband no longer had access to me. So anyways, I want you to think about that, and that's it. I hope this helps someone. I hope, whether I'm pulling at strings or not, I have no idea. But anyways, I hope this helps, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.